Today, let's talk travel schooling. So what is travel schooling? That's actually a trick question. So it really depends on each person that you ask that actually either does it or has researched into it or is like a homeschool guru. For us, travel schooling literally means that wherever we are, we're still learning. I feel like that applies into adult life as well, because like there's stuff that I've had to teach myself to be able to do just for everyday life. There's like cooking techniques that I've had to look up how to use before when using a new piece of equipment. My husband has to learn how to do new stuff all the time to keep up with the ever-changing housing industry. So it really honestly just is like a overflow of like what I feel like training my kids for everyday life post graduating from high school. So literally every day it's like we're learning as we go. I'll go ahead and give an example. This morning, we have one vehicle right now. We were taking Matt to work before we go shopping for the day to get like our groceries and all that. One of the kids yesterday was talking about how on their maps thing for history, they were talking about, you know, whenever you travel, you need to have a compass on you. So she was talking to me about like, do we have a compass when we travel? So I showed her that my phone on my latest app, or my newest phone that I purchased, actually has a compass on it. So I was like, hey honey, can you turn the internet off or the data off and see if the compass still works? And yes, it did. So that brought up a conversation of bringing up again why a compass is important, which way the sun rises, which way the sun sets, and showing, you know, talking about like supplies that you need for, you know, if you're hiking or traveling or anything like that. So that was another little, just a little bitty life lesson, and that was it. We talked about that and then we were done, and we went back to talking about, you know, other stuff through our day, like things that, you know, I purchased while Matt's at work if he wants for food and stuff. And you know, it, like I said, it just became a regular part of our day to discuss that. We also, on the same topic, we have things that we purchase just for travel. Our kids do digital schooling, so most, not all, but most of their work is through a website on their Chromebooks. And that is perfectly okay for us, because then we're not having to worry about keeping the current edition of every single textbook anymore, and it's become a huge blessing to our family to be able to have that resource. But there's also things that we purchase whenever we don't have internet, or whenever we're in between places where they might not have internet, data, Wi-Fi, any of that, to be able to do their schoolwork. But they could still learn as an extension of what they're currently learning in their online Monarch curriculum. So let me show you today the items that we have purchased for our travel schooling. I will go ahead and preface that what I'm fixing to show you is not our fun activities travel bag for tweens and teens. You saw an updated one of those in our last travel videos from our Smoky Mountain summer. If you want to see it, I will try to find that and link it up here. But we just showed you how we prepared for, you know, once we found out from vacation to actually going, how we prepare from start to finish that way, because we had an opportunity to be able to do that. What I'm fixing to show you is not this bag. This is just their fun activities bag. This will still go with us because I still want them to be able to have just fun activity stuff to have to do and not just school stuff. So this will still go with us, but I'm going to show you what we're going to be using for like actual school stuff traveling. Preface number 2, I'm also showing this right now because number 1, we just bought some new items to freshen our travel schooling bag, and number 2, because it was requested that we do it because we talked about it a lot over vacation. So I want to show what we purchased recently to update our bag for having a high schooler now and only having one in grade school. So that's the other reason why we're doing it right now. So you'll see a lot of things that you probably saw in recent grocery hauls or shopping hauls. This is not to be a repeat of that. It's to just show you how we're incorporating those things that we just purchased to update our travel schooling bag. And as you're fixing to see, not all of this is brand new supplies. So we'll start over here. I did go ahead and leave this out. This is the back box of pencils that I just opened. There are 24 in here, but instead of keeping them in the plastic so that I don't have to deal with trash while we're traveling, that goes away. And they are all now in this pencil box. These pencil boxes are from Walmart. I actually purchased the pencils from Walmart this year. It was slightly cheaper than Amazon, I think. I just went ahead and picked them up. They're the super shiny ones. I like having multiple colors of the actual pencil itself, not just the prongs. It makes it easier for the kids to be able to say, this one was the one I used, this is the one I am using, whenever there's all three of them sitting together doing school. It's not that they fight, it's just it helps to designate whose is whose, because sometimes you need to designate whose is whose. We also have 3 erasers. Obviously, again, these have all been used, but again, we're just freshening up the bag with a couple new things. The pens are also not brand new, but I also prefer to have pens for like grading, marking things. I don't do a lot of like hardcore grading while we're traveling, but if I need to, like if one of them prints out a worksheet that they actually do have to turn back into Monarch, I can grade it with pen once we're finished and know what grade to put into Monarch once we get back home. I actually ended up buying one pack of this for my middle school student, and I bought one for my high school student. My high school student's compass was still just fine, and she still had a protractor. So this one was actually supposed to be for my high school student, but she ended up not needing it, so it went in the travel bag. My middle school student had a set as well, but her compass was missing like one of the pieces. One of the kids accidentally had, you know, just out of curiosity, they had unscrewed it and now it's come loose. So she has a brand new compass in her binder bag to be able to use. So I'm doing just a protractor for her, and they're going to share the compass if needed, but this is mostly for their geometry work. The pencil sharpener, I know I just said mechanical pencils, they actually in their fun bag have wooden erasable color pencils, and erasable color pencils are so great for whenever they have assignments of like color anything that equals 11 yellow, or color anything that, you know, is 7 times 2 green, you know, stuff like that. It helps because then they can erase it and fix it and go back and be like, oh, that's what I did. Because when they go back later and they still see like colored over it, they're like, oh, which color did I actually mean to color that? And then they can't use it as much as a study sheet. So whenever they're using it for a study sheet, I like for them to use the erasable color pencils. So I ended up buying a new sharpener just to go in that bag. I may put it in this bag though, just because this bag is designated like, please don't play with stuff in here. This is for if you're actually sitting down to do school. So that's probably going to stay in this one. I think they do have one in the fun bag, but I'm going to go ahead and pack one in this bag as well. I absolutely love these flex rulers and these shatter resistant ones. We went ahead and added one for each of them. We're also only doing 2 pairs of scissors. We usually don't need a lot of scissors while we're traveling, but I like that these had the little safety pieces that slide over them. So I figured 2 pairs was enough just in case, and you know, we can also rotate out and change out as we need. Also, there's 2 glue sticks. That's not enough for everybody to use all at one time, but usually if we're using these, and then people can rotate. These were actually something that while we were traveling, we stopped at a Kroger's for like water bottles and drinks and supplies, and they had them in a markdown bin at a Kroger's nowhere near our house. And I went ahead and picked up 3 of them. I could only find 2 right now. I don't know if my teen still has hers, but the 2 tweens still like using theirs. It has pictures inside you can color, but it's just kind of like a compact case. I may or may not leave that in the school bag, but it is nice to have like something compact like this to be able to add to their supplies for like schooling as well, because then it gives them something they can do. I love coloring because I think it improves hand-eye coordination, and there's some studies you can read about that to see if it does or not. It seemed to work with ours because we always like included coloring when they were in the younger grades. I think they all have great hand-eye coordination now, so I don't know, there's a lot of studies on that, but I love adding coloring as much as I can for that reason. These are just a stack of workbooks that we have for doing fun schooling. So this one has a lot of different activities. You're going to see they've already done some of them in there. This one, it has like first, second, third order. There is some other language ones in here, but there's like a mix of language, there's math, there's visual, and it's just a bunch of like activities to do, but it's all for older kids. And I had to update because before I had like a lot more of like the word searches or Sudokus, and I may add a couple more Sudokus later. I think there's one in the fun bag. And I'm kind of trying to designate out between them so they don't feel like, oh, I always have to reach into the school bag to get stuff to do. So that's why I'm kind of doing it that way. But this one's mostly for the high schooler and maybe some for the older tween as well. This is actually a workbook that was given to them by a missionary, so it has some fun facts about Pakistan and Turkey in it, and I thought it would be like a fun way to add in a little bit of geography. There's some reading in it, some word search, and again, like I love stuff like this. Like we still have coloring books that we were given at Biltmore that had a little bit of history in it. I love workbooks that can combine like history, coloring, activities, all of that in one. So like I would love to get more of those. You recently saw us pick these up at Aldi's. This is a space themed one. It has sticker activities you can do with it, but it's not just sticker activities. There's some writing that can go along with it. There's some drawing. There's some free space, but then like there's, you know, activity packs. There's also reading about specific topics. fitness of an astronaut. And if you flip all the way to the front, there's the stickers, and they glow in the dark. One of mine is doing astronomy this year, and I thought this would be a perfect addition to just pull it out of the classroom and also still be working on stuff in classroom. These two are not, like my 5th grader and my high schooler actually aren't doing world history this year, but my high schooler isn't doing any history this year because of the way her credits lined up for high school courses, but she is doing Spanish this year, so she is doing some history, just not like a history or geography class. That's next year. But I thought this would also be kind of like a fun filler space for fun schooling for her to do while she is waiting to start like a history class. And again, this one has like stickers from around the world that you have to place on specific locations. For my 5th grader, she's mostly doing American history, but this again also kind of like incorporates a little bit of American history, but also helps to tie over, so she's still learning some of it in free time or extra time away from classroom while she's not actually taking her world history class, which she will be taking next year. These are some of the supplies you saw us purchase from Walmart. This is just a spiral notebook. It has the zebras. It matches her floppy folder that we had purchased her. We call them floppy folders here in East Tennessee. I don't know what y'all call them. I think they're called pocket folder. For me, a pocket folder is the one that just has pockets and doesn't have the prongs in it. We call them floppy folders. I'm kind of curious what other people call them. Anyways, this one is just a spiral notebook. It's just a spiral writing notebook. Before we end up purchasing the journals for them, I had went ahead and let her pick this out. It's just going to be for her to do some extra writing in. Sometimes when she's traveling, or whenever she's doing school, she likes having one separate for like science experiments, science journaling, things like that. So I figured I'd go ahead and still pack it anyways. All 3 of these floppy folders, the zebra one for my 5th grader, that one for my 7th grader, and let me lift that thing up real quick. This one for my high schooler, love that one. What I have done is, ta-da! You've seen this before, but I'll go ahead and cover it for anybody that's new. Also, if you're new, hi! This is a packet from Year-Round Homeschooling with Misty Leask. She does this printable, and we, I don't know if we purchased it or if it was a free download from her, but anyways, we use this packet from her. It's a kids vacation planner. But it's not just like planning vacation with like packing lists and all that. There's other school related things that kind of is fun for school that is also included. I don't want to go over too much because you can go over to her website and check out this packet. I use it for from elementary, middle, and high schoolers. The only thing that I do different from what she does is we also include a US map in the back of ours when we're traveling. What our kids like to do is, it's actually double-sided. There's an American flag right here. Trying not to show Missy's page. There's an American flag right here. They can color the American flag. What they do is they color the states as they go. Like, so if we're not traveling to multiple states, they just use this to color the states of license plates that they have spotted on that adventure. The reason why I started doing this is I love having the American flag one to go with it for them to color. But this one is actually labeled and has like Tennessee, and our capital is Nashville. So like it brings up conversation of like matching states and capitals, and it also like if they just completely, because like sometimes I get these two backwards, Wyoming and Colorado. I get them backwards. So like it helps to be like, okay, where was Colorado again? Oh yeah, it's right there. It's one of the 4 corner states. And also again, like little stuff like that. It'll bring up like little history conversations casually as we're driving and stuff. See a sneak peek. We also printed a couple of extra days. I have a week's worth of the journaling pages in here for each of the kids, but I also printed out a couple of extra pages for each of them. This is a graph composition notebook for my high schooler. It has graph paper in it. It is for her to be able to use for doing like geometry when we're on the go. And she can just fill it in as needed, because a lot of the stuff still, even with Monarch, like with math, they still want them to write things out, and I am really cool with that. So it gives her an extra space to be able to write all that down and keep it together in one thing while we're traveling. She has loose leaf paper from while we're at home, but I like the fact that it keeps everything together. And again, you saw these in the Walmart haul. What I did was I went ahead and wrote everybody's first name on their packet. These are their planner stickers to be able to use in their journaling, their travel journals and travel planners right here. Just a fun place to keep that. They had other stickers for in their journals this year, and if they want to, they could pull these out, like, because they have some of the bigger holiday stickers. They'll be able to use these if they want. I was able to find a small marker and a small pen to go in the front of Rebecca's journal, and hers is again just journal pages with this little fun pocket on the front of it. She doesn't have to keep that on if she doesn't want to. Sarah's again her stickers, and hers actually had like this magnet piece on the front. This is the only one I could find at Walmart like this, and I could not actually find an Amazon equivalent to this. Have a sloth-tastic day. Sloths are one of her top 5 favorite animals. That came with a few sloth themed stickers, and the pages actually have like this pretty design on them. They are front and back. It's just like that front cover doesn't have anything on it. But this also gives her a journaling space, and this is more for, I won't be grading these. These will be for like either an extension of their journals for traveling, or for just doing like a 1-day trip or a 2-day trip and they don't want to use the full journaling for like planning a vacation. They can use these to just journal down what they loved about the vacation, things they learned, places we went. And it's not for me to grade. Like, I'll see that they wrote in it, but it's not really like an emphasis of you have to do this and it has to be graded, it has to be perfect. I want them to just learn to just have fun journaling. There's a time and place for me to be able to grade creative writing. This is for them to do fun. This is Madeline's, and then here is hers. Again, like, it's not super fancy or anything because I couldn't find one like a sloth one, and the sloth one's the only one I found exactly like that. I also included a journal for myself because sometimes I find that I have a hard time remembering to pack like a journal for myself, so I went ahead and designated one to the travel bag. Let me move this bag to my bed and I will show you how we set it up. Here is our travel bag, and it already is completely packed up. So here is the front pocket right here, and this travel bag I have actually used as an overnight when I was doing travel agency briefly for a while, and I was actually able to fit like everything I needed for the conference in here, and then all of my overnight clothes in another bag and a computer in another bag. What I love about it though is it has all these pockets in it. It came with this extra pocket, so I was able to put the protractors and compasses in here. They're a little bit sharper, so it has a little bit more of just a Ziploc, because Ziplocs, you know, it's hair. This is pretty durable, so I'm pretty confident in it staying in here. And the sun just decided to hide after I decided I didn't need to have the light on. And then I just went ahead and, you know what, I just said I wasn't going to leave anything in packaging. I probably am going to go ahead and open that. There is that out of the packaging. If you've never seen how these work, literally you can't do it on with one hand apparently on camera. They open like this. Normally you can just push that like that. Okay, there it goes. Maybe just the first time it needed a little help. Sometimes with some color pencils, they actually do better in the larger holes, even though technically they fit into the smaller sharpener pieces. I'm going to stick it in here. I think I'll stick it with the glue. I am going to leave the glue packaged because it kind of gives like an extra security. Put the erasers in here, the scissors with their holders in here, the pens are in here, and then I don't even know what this strap would be used for, but it's perfect for holding our rulers. So, and like that in the bottom is not trash. So a trick I learned from my grandma, who travels a lot, is to keep dryer sheets, used or unused, in a suitcase, and it keeps it smelling fresh. And it also kind of makes it smell like home. So I like that. So the second pocket back here, it doesn't open all the way down like the third pocket does, but everything fit. The journals, the teaching books, the spiral notebook, the floppy folders, the stickers right here, and the pencil right here, conveniently all fitting right here. So I will go ahead and say this bag is heavy. Like, I don't like holding it, but thankfully it also has a rollaway handle because it also is on wheels, so I don't have to actually carry it everywhere except down the back steps. But back here it has straps, so I can actually strap the kids' Chromebooks in here. And I would actually probably put my own computer into a separate bag for a carry-on or whatnot, and just have it separate, and possibly even have like the kids' charge cords in my bag. So like this isn't like getting too heavy, but if it's not too heavy, I would probably have this as like a check bag for somebody, possibly myself, and then have another check bag for Matthew and myself. And we also have another bag where we also kind of combine electronics sometimes, so like if he has anything electronics, he would put it in there, and then usually like camera equipment goes in my backpack. So we'd figure that out when we cross that bridge. We haven't had to cross that bridge yet of like figuring out carry-ons and weight restrictions and all that, but for now all of it fits conveniently into this nice rolling travel bag. So that is it for our travel schooling bag, what we put in it, things that we bring, and I hope that kind of gives you some ideas. We'll probably be adding and taking away from as we travel, use things up, and if we find more things that we use. I will go ahead and mention here, there was one thing that I had put, I showed it to you in the fun bag that was not in the school bag, which was they have individual drawing pads that are spiral bound, but I'm thinking of letting them put them in their own individual backpacks for while we're traveling, so they can draw as they want and just kind of sketch as they go. That's kind of what I'm thinking of doing instead of putting it in the travel bags. Again, that's pretty full and ready to be taken on our next adventure, wherever and whenever that is. But in the meantime, we'll be ready and waiting and ready to set off. For now, we have to say goodbye. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.